Chapter 38. Kai. The sun wakes before I've even gone to sleep. It peers down at me from behind the string of orange clouds smothering the horizon. It wasn't until soft light scared away the shadows and a warm breeze grazed my sweaty skin that I realized my night was spent in the training ring. I swing a sword at my side, repeating the same movements I have since stepping into this circle of packed dirt. The dull edge of my blade meets the chipped practice dummy opposite me with a thud. With a series of swift movements, I would have thoroughly disemboweled a figure not carved from wood. You need something more challenging to beat down on? I smile at the sound of Kit's voice as I yank my lodged sword free. What are you offering? I watch him step into the ring with a slight cough. I could use the exercise. Plague knows I haven't sparred with you in weeks. Miss getting your ass kicked, do ya? He catches the dull sword I toss him. Maybe I missed spending time with you, brother. Even if it means getting my ass kicked. I begin treading a slow circle around the ring, Kit following my lead with his weapon raised. Don't go getting all soft on me. My grin is crooked. I'd rather not feel bad about throwing you around. I catch the slash of his blade with my own. He wears a wild smile as he pulls away and attempts a jab at my ribs. I dodge swiftly before swiping my blade towards him. Kit ducks, leaving behind the swoosh of torn air when dull steel sweeps over his blonde head. It seems I'm not too out of practice after all. The pommel of my sword meets his unguarded stomach. His words turn into a cough, my smile into a laugh. Spoke too soon, kitty. He sucks in a shaky breath. Well, that certainly woke me up. Straightening, he advances on me with a speed I hadn't expected. I'm pushed towards the edge of the ring as our blades clash against each other. This allows me a moment to evaluate my opponent, study the dark circles beneath Kit's eyes and the slight hollow in his cheeks. Even the force behind his blade feels weakened. Our scrutiny stalls my words. Are you all right? Kit pushes away. Why do you ask? I shake my head, unsure what it is I'm sensing. His power coils beneath my skin and slips between my attempts to grab hold of it. Something feels different. I've been a bit under the weather recently. It'll pass, I'm sure. Now, Kit pants. Have you been out here all night? My laugh is huffed. He evades my lunge. After all these years, that shouldn't surprise you. His blade arcs through the air before slamming into mine. I figured you were with Peyton. My movements stutter long enough for him to land a solid smack of steel to my ribs. I grunt against the pain before knocking his sword aside. I haven't. Now I'm panting. I haven't seen her since the cellar. Kit manages a shrug among the swiping of our weapons. I'm surprised. I block his blow and stare between the crossed blades at my brother's chilled features. And why would that surprise you? He pushes away. You know why? Enlighten me, I challenge. Because you love her. The rough admittance seems to startle even him. I stare at Kit, chest heaving and sword hanging at my side. He clears his throat. Perhaps more than anything. My heart pounds. A reminder that each beat belongs to her. Don't be ridiculous, Kitty. I deflect. She's your bride. And I'm your brother, he says quickly. Always. No matter what. His tone suggests this is a question I meant to answer. This isn't the first time Kit has tiptoed around the subject that is our intertwined futures. He wishes to hear that his marriage to Peyton won't change anything between us. And for our sake, I will pretend that it hasn't already. You and me. My throat is dry. Always. We share a warm smile before swords are clashing between us. A familiar dance tugs at our feet. We slip into a graceful sort of chaos, one that has been practiced since childhood. This very ring of dirt beneath us has broken many a fall over the years. I'm reminded of the days I would beg Father to let Kit train with me until, suddenly, I no longer needed to ask for permission. 2 princelings grew into men here. Yet, we always return to that same string of practiced movements. Kit smiles, slightly behind the flurry of steel, his gaze distant with reminiscence. We follow a pattern, a structure, a memorized sequence of steps. This vicious dance is one we created as boys, and it feels like tranquility. Our movements are precise, each swipe of the sword sure. I jab my blade towards his chest and wince when the blow lands. Kit groans the prodding of a dull sword. He backs away, breaking the trance we once shared. You're supposed to dodge that, Kit, I say sympathetically. He rubs at what will soon be a blossoming bruise beneath his tunic. Yeah, well, I forgot. That's why I'm the king, and you're my enforcer. I'm not good at fighting my own battles. I chuckle. Come on. You know these steps. My palm pats his cheek gently. Let's run it again. Plagues. Do you ever sleep? I give him a skeptical look. Do you? His smile is sad. Fair enough. Enforcer?
Chapter 39. Peyton. A piece of parchment slides under my door. The rustling sound has me looking up from my book begrudgingly. Unfolding stiff limbs, I stand from the bed and pad over to this folded mystery. My whole being is tired, drained mentally and physically after my trek to Loot. So, when I bend to pick up the paper, I can hardly find the energy to be intrigued. That is, until I hear his voice accompanying each sprawling word. You said to be on my best behavior, and I can't possibly do that if I'm in the same room as you. Besides, all I do is spend my days in the training yard, attempting to teach a bunch of lazy bastards how to punch. Reminds me of when I had to do the same for you. And don't roll your eyes. I know you loved it. For now, this will have to be our pretend. Kit spent most of the morning with me, and he seemed good. Great, even. But I know my brother. I think he's trying to keep me away from you, slowly distance us. Maybe he wants you as badly as I do, but not at the price of losing me. He wants us both. I know the feeling. Now, please entertain me, darling. I'm bored. What am I to do if not count your freckles? Your cocky bastard. It's only when I've finished reading that I feel the stupid grin on my lips, even despite the worrying notion he voiced. Shaking my head at his words, I determined to make him smile at my own. The large desk adorning the far side of my chamber has gone untouched since my return. Taking a seat in the stiff chair, I rummaged through the many drawers in search of paper and a writing utensil. I stare at the assortment of scavenged items before finally letting ink stain the parchment. I see you finally signed your name correctly. It's about time. Now, I'm not sure anything I have to say is entertaining, so I'll just ramble until something interesting falls onto the page. Don't forget that you asked for this, cocky bastard. I had to pick out fabric for my wedding dress. Of course, that only reminded me that Adina isn't the one making it. So when I saw the fort this morning with all that fabric that smelled like her and the scissors I used to cut her bangs with... Did I mention I went to Loot? Maybe I should have started with that. I just needed to see the fort and run away from my future for a short while. But I met a new friend there, one that loved Adina just as much. It was nice, not being alone in my grief. Anyway, I doubt you want to hear about wedding plans or what flower I chose for my bouquet. I'm trying not to focus on Kit and my inability to read him. Just know that if I could do it all over again, I would have run from that poppy field with you when we had the chance. Now, go hit an imperial for me today, would you? Or I could remind you just how well I can throw a punch. You seem to have forgotten. And yes, I did roll my eyes. We need to find you a hobby that does not include counting my freckles. How many are there again? 23? Your pay. I slipped the note beneath his door, though I know he is not on the other side. Several hours pass before the enforcer retires to his room for a short break in training, and soon after, a response is slipped into my room. I'm glad you were able to visit the fort after everything that happened. You deserve to have that time with Adina. I only wish I had known. We both know that you can handle yourself, but that doesn't stop me from worrying about you. As for these wedding plans, it sounds to me like you're getting cold feet, Gray. We could still make a run for it, you know. Head back out onto the shallows, find Astrum, and keep sailing. Just say the word. 28, darling. But I could do a recount, if you like. You're cocky bastard. My next note is handed off in person. I pass the enforcer on my way to dine with his brother. Dirt mars his brow, mingling with a sheen of sweat that was coaxed from the beaming sun outside. His tousled black hair ripples when he looks up, gray eyes piercing straight through me. My heart stalls at the sight of him. It's been days since we have spoken in private, and I'm tempted to shove him towards that broom closet he once carried me into. But there are so many eyes in this castle, so many reasons to pretend with the enforcer. I hold his gaze because that is all I'm allowed. He holds mine because it is the only piece of me he can have. I cling to this moment in which we have evaded the future. Kai strides past. Our hands touch. My heart stutters. The note is slipped between his fingers. You know firsthand that my feet are always cold, but you are all bark and no bite, Azur. Your loyalties are here with Kit, so don't pretend you would go running off with me. The king is your duty, and marrying him is mine. But we will always have the willow tree. You'll have to get close enough to count them, Prince. Your pay. Good evening, Payden. I stride into the throne room, my hopes high. Good evening, Kit. We eat, talk idly, attempt to repair the bond we once had. Any plans for the night? I smile at his question. Just the usual. In truth, I have a very exciting evening ahead of me, one that the king would never allow if he knew. I nearly step on Kai's reply when I return to my room. You think I would not beg to run away with you? My duty may be to the king, but my heart pay is wherever you are. It is in the palm of your hands, the pad of your thumb. So if you leave, I will follow. If you stay, I will bow. Because there's never been a moment when you did not own the only piece of me that mattered. Loving you made me matter, and I ache to be full again. I sit there, stunned and still and staring at the very meaning of devotion. I've never witnessed beauty look so content in its brokenness. Unabashedly, he pleads for me. Unflinchingly, he lays every mask at my feet. My gaze falls to the final line, and the corner of my mouth twitches upward. Oh, I can bite. You only need to ask, darling. I slip his note into the drawer of my bedside table, reuniting it with the others before taking a seat at the desk. My father's ring raps against the wood as I fight to write those 3 little words that clog my throat. They are seemingly harmless until those who earn them are ripped away from me. I shake my head, writing instead a short string of letters. On paper, you really do sound like a poet. Or a fool. I won't let you ruin yourself for me. His response arrives quickly. I want you to be my ruin. Remember?
Edric. The princes are inseparable. Kit balances a book on his lap, though it's difficult to focus on anything with his younger brother waving a wooden sword in his face. Mila stands to comb back Kai's unruly hair, all while ignoring the boy's huff of irritation. With the turning of a page, Edric's air grows suddenly studious in the presence of a mother who is not his. Both boys have been continually told the very same lie as the kingdom beyond their castle walls. Kit's mother died giving birth to him before the king remarried, and had Kai, making the princes half-brothers. That is what they know to be true. Anyone who knows differently is part of the staff, sworn to secrecy, and stowed away within the palace. In the many years of Edric's marriage to Mila Rowe, a unique kind of love had blossomed between them. She was bold and stubborn in a way that Iris never had been, managing to rile the king more than he cared to admit. It was a rocky road that led them to each other, one that neither imagined treading. But Edric's stony heart had started beating again, still only for his Mila. The family clutters the king's study, though 2 members are missing. One, a weak child who remains in the West Tower, and the other, a forgotten princess who is just that. Edric thinks no more of the daughter he doomed to death. Rather, Iris's end by something as weak as an ordinary only inflames his hatred for them. And he will stop at nothing until his kingdom is rid of every last one. They were a mistake. He is determined to remedy. Mila looks up at her husband, watching him pore over the puddle of parchment on his desk. She offers him that bright smile, the one Edric had spent their first year of marriage coaxing out of her. For his wife, the king smiles back. Catching the odd show of emotion, Kit straightens before beaming at his father. Edric only nods to the book in his heir's hand, and does not smile back.
Chapter 40. Payton. The halls are quiet at this hour. Shadows paint the ornate molding in an ominous light as I pass by. I spent the entire day confined to my room or slipping notes beneath Kai's door. It was a pleasant distraction until nightfall, but now I'm off to restore balance to the world, peace to my mind. I've been aching to do this since that final trial, since returning from the fort with rekindled vengeance. I turn a corner and a flash of lilac in the moonlight. There she stands, casually leaning against the wall. A dull look rests on the face she turns towards me, boredom creasing her brow. So apparently you think you can kill me. My dagger is already gripped between trembling fingers. The image of Adina's limp body in my lap is all I see when I meet Blair's unfeeling gaze. I think of Mac and his hurt that magnifies my own. Anger explodes behind my vision, rage momentarily blinding me as I stride towards her. I will do so much worse, I pant. I'll make you beg. Blair's laugh is breathy. You know, I like you much more like this. It's a shame you're trying to kill me when we could be such good friends. I don't think before flipping the dagger in my hand and launching it at her face. It flips through the air in a feeble attempt I know she will simply halt with her mind. But I don't care. I'm content to let her cower behind an ability, if only so I can watch the life flicker out in her eyes. They're vicious, these thoughts. Cruel, so unlike Adina. Adina isn't here to save me from myself anymore. Blair lets out a low whistle as she stares down the length of my blade. Its tip is mere inches from burying between her eyes. I didn't think you had it in you, Gray. She lets the dagger clatter to the ground. You're different. I bare my teeth. You made me this way. She backs away, clicking her tongue. No, this has always been inside of you. Candlelight pools into the hallway when she opens the door to her room and steps inside. You just wanted someone to blame for it. Snatching my dagger from the floor, I follow her into the room. The blade shakes in my raised hand. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. Plagues, Peyton. Blair leans against a bedpost with a roll of her eyes. Don't act like you're the only one who's been through some shit. Yes, I killed your friend. And you know what? Her throat bobs in the flickering light. It haunts me. But that was the trial. And I won. A crash behind us has me whirling towards the door. An Imperial pants in the doorway, his red hair rippling in the firelight. What the hell? Lenny's eyes dart between us. Peyton, you need to go, right? Quiet, Ginger Snap. Blair huffs. Her eyes never leave mine as she throws his body against the wall, pinning him there with her mind. The girls are talking. Peyton! Lenny wriggles against Blair's hold on his body. Please, you can't do this. Personally, I agree. Blair gives me a dull look. I don't think you can either. I charge. My feet pound against the wooden floor, dodging the dozens of candles littered across it. Dagger in hand, I stop. My body is suddenly stuck. I rage against Blair's power, roaring when her mind tightens its hold around me. I do marvel, she says quietly, at how incredibly ordinary you are. I still within her invisible grip. Because for the first time in my life, I don't hear weakness in those words. No, I hear a little girl crying over her father's dead body and surviving despite it. I hear the roar of an elite crowd, chanting for the ordinary beneath their noses who crafted her own power. I hear strength where shame once was, fearlessness where I would once cower. A slow smile spreads across my lips. Blair blinks at the expression, a flash of fear flitting over her features. Of course you marvel at it, I say slowly, because you will never know real power. Yours was given, but mine? I shake my head. Mine was found. She gawks. I could crush your heart with a single thought. Maybe your ability could. My gaze is lethal. But you couldn't. I watch her take a deep breath, watch the words fall from her mouth, and still don't believe she's saying them. I am sorry about your friend. Then her eyes flick to Lenny, and the room goes up in flames. A wave of heat slams into me, and with Blair's hold on my body now broken, I nearly fall over. Fire flares around my ankles, crawling up bedposts to swallow us whole. I don't know how it happened, but I'm suddenly choking on the thick smoke. Blair stumbles away, arms lifted to shield her face from the heat. I leap over a wall of flame before it can lap at my legs, but I don't head for the door, for my escape from this sweltering heat. The only freedom I seek resides in ending the girl who took away my light. I lunge for her. My body crashes into Blair's, and we tumble to the ground atop a trail of flame. We both cry out as the fire sears our skin, singes hair, but I am not finished. That dark, terrifying side of me stamps out all fear and pain and sane thought as I pin Blair Archer to the scorched floorboards. A numbness spreads through me, like every nerve has decided to turn a blind eye to my violence. Fire burns its way through my pants, rippling along my thigh as I lean over her pale face. Thick smoke wafts from my own clothing, my own flesh, but still I feel nothing. Flame curls to the right of Blair's head, licking that lilac hair. She whimpers, out of fear or pain, I'm not sure. I no longer feel either. The sleeve of her tunic is thoroughly singed to display angry red skin beneath. I memorize this moment, right down to the terror flickering in her gaze. The palm of my hand meets her cheek. I cough through the smoke crawling down my throat. I push against her face, turning it slowly towards the eager flame. Lenny's shout is lost behind the wall of fire encircling us. Blair's head swivels slowly beneath my palm. You don't know pain, I whisper. She fights against me with her own strength, too weakened to use her power. I smile. Not until it skewers you through the chest. Please, Blair blurts. I shove her closer to the flame. Please. My voice is even and rough with smoke. I told you I would make you beg. She screams when I force her face into the hungry wall of fire. The side of Blair's pretty face bubbles and burns within the heat. My hand, still shoved against her unharmed cheek, is scorched by the mere proximity to flame. The stench of fried flesh fills the air, accompanied only by the screams of Adina's killer. I cough again, my lungs constricting. That comforting numbness bleeds from my body until all I feel is pain. And then I feel nothing at all as everything goes dark.
Chapter 41. Kai. Where is she? I shove Imperials aside, quickening my pace down the cramped hallway. Smoke hangs thickly in the air, wafting from a charred room that hydros huddle around. They do their best to tame what is left of the flames with waves of water. Lenny is raising his hands in surrender before I've even reached him. She's fine. Take me to her, I order. The Imperial takes a breath. She's with a healer, but there's no need to worry. No need to worry. I almost laugh. I woke to an Imperial beside my bed and smoke in the air. So I'll ask again, where the hell is she? Looking utterly defeated, Lenny reluctantly leads me through the throng. We turn down a quiet corridor to stop before an unsuspecting door. Opening it, Lenny gestures me inside where I'm greeted by several gazes. But it is only hers I search for. Payton sits on a stool, clothing charred and hair blackened. Burns run down the length of her body, pink and blistered. A bloody gash sits right above her brow, making her flinch when a smile reaches the eyes beneath. I rush over to her, not caring who bears witness to my worry. Are you all right? She nods, winces, curses the burn climbing up her neck. I'm fine, she eventually grits out, voice like gravel. Everything happened so fast. I take a breath, fighting to keep my voice steady. Why were you even in Blair's room? Her eyes flick behind my back, and I turn to find Kit leaning against a wall. He gives me a slow nod, or perhaps it is for Payton. She practically invited me in. I was angry and... Payton's eyes dart to Lenny, and the pleading look within them has him sighing. Blair had me pinned. There were candles lit, and one must have gotten knocked over because suddenly the room went up in flames. He shakes his head. This wall of fire separated me from P, and by the time I finally got her out, Blair was... Lenny swallows, his brown eyes shining. I took care of the body. I whirl on my Imperial. You should have prevented this. Lenny's gaze drops. Sir, it wasn't his fault. Payton's voice is weak. He couldn't have stopped it. I wouldn't let him stop it. I give her a knowing look. You still went after her, didn't you? The anger on her face doesn't mask the guilt beneath. I know what it looks like to get lost in the rage, the power of controlling another's fate. And I see it reflected on her features. My voice is a consoling murmur. Oh, Pay. A healer steps forward then, his voice grim. Well, it's a good thing Miss Gray got out when she did. A little while longer, and I know. I hear myself bite out. She needs to rest. It's Callum who says this, though I don't bother to look at him. Heal. I'm fine. Payton mouths to me in a way that's only slightly reassuring. A hand on my shoulder has me turning, Kit's expression is stern. It was a terrible accident. That is what her father and the rest of the court will know. I'll find a way to cover this up. I nod because it's the agreement he wishes for. I stand because the look in Peyton's eyes say she will find me later. And I leave because she is not mine to worry about. I'm not even surprised when she bursts into my room. I've been up for hours, pacing in the darkness and hoping she will stride in to brighten it. Where's your sword? I need to hit something. A ray of sunshine, this one. I lean against a bedpost. I take it you're feeling better? Peyton huffs damp hair from her eyes. That healer made me sit in there for hours, even after taking care of the burns. She waves a hand. Something about smoke in my lungs. I nod slowly. What happened to keeping our distance? I'm making an exception. Because you wish to hit something? Yes, a smug smile. And for once, it's not you. I'm a bit offended, actually. She shakes her head distractedly. I need to blow off some steam. I'm skewered with a pointed look. Sword? Fighting my smile, I retrieve a battered sword from beside my desk. And the reasoning behind this sudden urge for violence. Sudden, she snorts. I've been kicking your ass for a long time now, Prince. I push the sword into her palm. Our bodies close. Maybe I miss it. Her smile is wicked. And maybe you'll have another opportunity to lose soon. My answer is lost in the sound of steel slicing wood. She rains down blows upon the already mutilated bedpost. Again and again, the sword sinks into the shredded wood, spraying splinters in its wake. I grab her arm, stilling the strained muscles there before she can swing again. Silver hair flicks me in the face when she whirls, cheeks pink with anger. What? Her tone is biting, meant to ward me off with a single word. But she doesn't scare me away. I almost wish she could. Life would be so much easier if I didn't want to spend it with her. But nothing so stunningly formidable could go unwanted. Pay. I let her see the concern on my face. Let her see the devotion it derives from. Let her see everything I am not and the little that I am. What is really going on? Her lashes flutter. I watch that blue gaze sink to my chest and stare blankly. I killed her. I was a monster. Her skin was melting beneath my palm, and still She sucks in a breath. I've never been so vicious. It was terrifying, this person I became. This darkness swelling within me. And worst of all, she chokes. It didn't help. My heart aches in a way it only ever will for her. I know. I thought it would help this hurt, she whispers. This hole in my heart where Adina used to be. But it's still there. Her eyes lift, brimming with tears, just as gaping as it was the day she died in my arms. I know, I say again, hating the hurt on her face. It didn't bring her back. The sword clatters to the floor, her tears falling with it. I'll never get her back. I wrap my arms around her trembling body, pressing my mouth to the top of her head. I know, love. Tears soak through my shirt, and yet she barely makes a sound. I hold her tightly, running a hand down her damp hair and the back stretching beneath. She melts against me, soothed by the touch and many murmurs against her hair. But when my body goes rigid, she lifts her tear-streaked face towards mine. What is it? Power bubbles beneath my skin, one so familiar I almost don't notice it. Kit's coming. What? She blinks before peeling herself away from me. Here? Now? I lower my voice. Yes, and quickly. His jewel ability is one I've memorized since I was a boy. Could pick it out from a crowd. But dwelling on it now, something feels indescribably off. Well, she sputters. What do we do? My eyes flick to the wardrobe. She gives me a dull look. You can't be serious. Would you like your betrothed to find you in here with me? Her frustrated groan is followed by an exiling into the wardrobe. Peyton glares as I shove her among my clothes, tears momentarily forgotten. She picks up a particularly bright shirt and raises a brow. I've never seen you wear this. That would be because it belongs to Jax, I say quickly. I'm winning a bet. Don't worry about it. With a slight scoff and shake of her head, I begin shutting the doors in her face. Oh, I quietly add, try not to step on my shoes. I just got them shined. I can practically feel the roll of her eyes even after a thick layer of wood separates us. But I've barely managed to pick up the strewn sword before my door creaks open. Kit steps hesitantly into the room. Oh, good. You're awake. I lift the sword and answer. Just blowing off some steam? Right. The king seems distracted. Well, I just wanted to stop in and let you know that the third trial will be taking place tomorrow. My eyes widen in surprise, just as I know Peyton's are behind me. Tomorrow? You're not announcing it to the court? Kit rubs a hand down the back of his neck. His gaze is distant, clouded. It's meant to be unexpected. For Peyton, at least. Quickly, he adds. It will take place in the bowl. I see. A beat of silence stretches between us before I ask. Kit, are you all right? That unsettling feeling washes over me again when his power slithers beneath my skin. I hold my brother's gaze, but he doesn't seem to be looking at me. It is as though he has retreated into his mind. His unfocused gaze falls just over my shoulder. No, not yet. He mutters distantly. It's not time. I need the right time. I glance behind, finding nothing but open air. His mumbled words have me taking a worried step forward. What? Kid, is everything okay? Those green eyes flick back to mine. He blinks, then plasters a smile onto his features. Yes. No need to worry. It seems I need some more sleep. Just trust me. I have everything under control. I nod, despite my concern. Of course. I trust you with my life. He coughs. The grin that follows is genuine. I've never doubted that about you. Then, his hand is on the door, mind somewhere else entirely. You and me, brother. You and me, I echo softly.
Chapter 42. Peyton. I'm awake long before the knock at my door. In fact, I'm already dressed and well into overthinking by the time my escort to brutality arrives. I barely slept after slipping from Kai's room last night, wide-eyed with the worry of what I'll have to do today to prove myself. With a deep breath, I swing open the door. Lenny's eyes drift down the length of me from behind his mask, narrowing slightly at my lack of disarray. I'm here to escort you to the third trial? He says this like a question, as though unsure if he's the first to inform me of this. I smile tightly. I had a hunch. Slipping my dagger into the sheath at my side, I add casually, Ready? Not as ready as you, he mocks. Did you go to sleep in these clothes? I'm just ready to get this over with, I bite back. Well, it seems you're already in the brutal mood, he mutters as we head down the long hallway. I'm sorry about yesterday. I glance hesitantly over at him. You were never meant to be involved. And it's a damn good thing I was, he scolds. You nearly died, Pete, and I would have never been able to live with myself if you had. His words crumble something inside me, maybe the stony indifference I've built around my heart as of late. I touch his arm, hoping to say something my lips can't form. Lenny's brown eyes fall to that gesture, smiling grimly at my splayed fingers atop his uniform. And you might be sorry for me, but you're certainly not sorry about Blair. I swallow and spur my mouth into motion. No, I'm not. I mean, I'm not happy about what I did either, but... I pull away, hugging my arms around a beating chest. But I don't regret it. You were... merciless. When he finally lands on the cruel word, I flinch. I've never seen you like that before. Neither have I. Not like that. I avoid his gaze. But I've seen glimpses of it ever since fleeing Ilya. I'm not proud of it. He nods distantly, red hair rippling. Well, now you're free of her. So are you, I remind. He turns a corner, pulling me along with him. She wasn't too bad. You only knew the part of her she had to be. I glance sidelong at him. Well, you don't seem too upset about her passing. He shrugs stiffly. I'll see her again. One day. I debate scoffing at his words, because I doubt Lenny will end up wherever Blair has. But he's suddenly spewing another sentence, this one lighter than the last. Don't be nervous today. You're gonna kill it. I groan slightly. I'd rather not do any more killing, thank you. I step out into the streaming sunlight, now made all the more blinding by the dozens of crisp white uniforms reflecting it. Imperials swarm to create a cocoon of bodies around me as we head for the bowl. The long path to the arena stretches before me, as if to join the past with this bleak present. The first time I walked between this row of drooping trees, it was for survival. The second, a promise. And now, a title. The pink blossoms that once fell from these trees are long dead, not unlike so many other things since then. They crunch beneath my boots, a mere decaying memory. I tug my promise to Adina more tightly around me, feeling the frayed edge of what is left of her. I see the flowers beneath my feet that once littered a prince's head, crowning him long before my brutality made him king. My eyes wander over this tunnel of trees, each end leading me into the unknown. Once, I risked my life for a piece of Adina. Now I stride towards a kingdom who doesn't want me. Soon, I may sacrifice myself in the hopes I mean something more in death than I did in life. We walk in silence down the path, nothing but the sound of crunching petals passing between us. I spin the ring on my thumb incessantly, pleading with the band of steel to calm me. Lenny lingers at my side, occasionally offering a sidelong glance at my fidgeting. But silence flees at the sight of the bowl. A distant rumbling grows with every step. The stomping of feet swells, followed by an orchestra of shouts and cheers. My heart beats in time, drumming in my ears as we stride into the bowl's menacing shadow. My gaze lingers beside one of the many tunnels leading into that stony structure. The king's lifeless body is long gone, the blood washed away, but the scar above my heart still sears with the memory of a mud-streaked girl at the mercy of a monster. Until she became one herself. Everywhere I look, the past lingers. There, an enforcer was born. Hovering over his father's body, he threw a blade with the aim of a warrior, but the damning heart of a fool. I can still feel that knife cut through the air beside me, intention alone steering it from my flesh. Here, he told me to run. And I did. Right back into his arms. Our footsteps echo off the stone tunnel now, the expanse of gray leading us into an explosion of chaos and color. This arena was once filled with resistance members, covered in the blood of those brave enough to fight for themselves, but too weak to win. The muffled cheers of thousands grow into a gentle roar as I emerge from the surrounding stone. The sun peers down at me, forcing my hand to lift above watering eyes. Bodies pack every inch of the bowl, and I tip my head towards the sky, following the slope of this crowded arena. Fear seizes my heart in this familiar place. I haven't been back in the bowl since Adina died within it, since a piece of myself died beyond these walls. The roaring of thousands hungry for a show makes my stomach flip violently. Every fiber of my being recoils at the thought of stepping foot in that arena once again. Imperials usher me along the path as a deafening shout washes over us. The audience is craving a bloody act of brutality, and with the sudden crescendo of spirited shouts in my direction, they are likely hoping I will be the casualty. My gaze drifts to the railing beside me, then farther still to the stretch of sand below. The last time I saw this pit, it was streaked with Adina's blood. My stomach lurches once again as I scan the sea of white sand for any sign of a scarlet stain. Nothing. All trace of her death is gone, having abandoned this place to dwell inside me. Every drop of blood, every cry for help, every moment that passes without her is etched onto my soul. Our lap around the raised ring leads us to the glass box beside it. Kit sits cozily within, filling the seat his father once had. And just like the king before him, those green eyes pin me to the path. It's like looking into the face of a ghost. Past and present collide to create the confusing concoction that is him. Not quite his father, but not quite the boy I once knew. He tips his head, a near reflection of the man who made me a murderer. And I nod back, a mere mosaic of each jagged piece of strength and cutting recklessness it took to have me standing here once again. Hands are suddenly at my back, shoving me towards the railing. Kit stands abruptly, watching me behind that spotless glass before his Imperials can push me into the pit. Callum appears beside him, smiling grimly, even as I'm escorted to what will likely be my doom. Still, I hold my breath, watching the king's mouth open and eyes flash with regret. And then, nothing. Kit straightens, lowers himself into that plush seat, fixes a slight smile onto his features. I blink at the sudden change, bewildered by his, "Hey, princess!" I startle at the fingers Lenny is snapping in front of my face. Listen up, all right? He's forced to yell over the restless crowd engulfing us. Take this and use it. The hilt of a sword is suddenly shoved into my palm. Just get it over with, and you're free from these trials. I know how terrifying you can be, so just be that. I nod numbly, my gaze clinging to the sharp blade I now hold. Lenny reaches a gloved hand towards my face and pats it gently. I need you to win this, okay? Don't stop being a cockroach now, princess. I have no idea what it is I'm winning. No idea if it will be worth it in the end. But a weak laugh surprises me, the sound buried in chaos before reaching my ears. I'll try my best. After this, he shouts, I won't get to call you princess anymore. His smile is bittersweet. I'll have to call you queen. And then I'm forced down into the pit. I trip over the steep steps until my boots finally sink into the sand beneath. Staggering back, I lift my head towards the crazed crowd. I'm panting, blood pounding, as I take in the arena with one slow spin. The bowl is gaping, and I stand there, swallowed within the sheer size and sound all around. The sword's hilt grows sweaty in my palm, its sharp point dragging in the sand. Chants and shouts are muffled by the continuous pounding of feet, like a death march long anticipated. The sun weighs heavy on my arms, warming my bare skin with its close presence. It seems that even the sky leans in to witness my brutality or the brutal end I'll meet. I squint up at that box high above the pit's floor, watching the king stride out onto the path. A familiar shock of teal hair shines beside him, and when the amplifier rests her hand on Kit's shoulder, the arena falls silent. "Welcome, Ilians, to Peyton Gray's final trial. Here," he says evenly, "we will test her brutality." The crowd erupts at his words. Bloodthirsty and rabid for a riveting show. Kit calms them with a palm to the air before continuing. "If Peyton can complete this trial, she will have proven herself to be brave, benevolent, and brutal. These are the 3 characteristics my father believed made a good ruler. If she manages to succeed today," Kit's gaze pins me to the pit's floor, "Ilya will have its queen." A roar rips through the arena, and I'm quite certain it's not intended to cheer me on. Men and women stand on their benches, pumping fists and spouting curses into the air. My gaze sweeps over the rowdy crowd until I'm startlingly staring back at myself. The scrutinizing expression I wear is projected onto a large screen above the pit for even those in the highest stands to see clearly. My eyes dart across the sand, landing on the sights currently projecting what they see. 4 of them stand at the other side of the pit, though only 3 stare at me with glassy eyes and arms raised upward. With white cloaks rippling in the soft breeze, their heavy stares have a chill skittering down my spine, dread pooling in my gut. "As a ruler," Kit continues over the chaos, his voice echoing, "brutality is often needed. So for this trial, it will be a fight to the death." My breath catches, throat dries. To the death. I have to kill someone. The crowd's responding cheer is lost to the sudden ringing in my ears. I turn slowly towards that glass box, finding a king peering back. Not my friend, not my betrothed. Just a king who ordered me to be his killer. And suddenly I know how Kai must feel. My knees go weak at the thought. Kai. Frantically, I scan that glass box for any sign of his familiar figure. A lock of tousled black hair, a glimpse of those damn dimples, a flash of that cocky smile. "Bring out the opponent!" My whole body numbs at the king's words. Gasps ripple through the crowd, shock slipping between the fingers that press to gaping mouths. I won't turn around. I can't turn around. The crowd erupts with a sudden, sickening wave of excitement when the king's voice booms over the arena. "An ordinary versus every elite. The ultimate test." My head is shaking. I shut my eyes, squeezing out the cruel world beyond. This is a nightmare. This is pretend. Footsteps behind me grow louder atop the shifting sand. I press a hand to my pounding heart, feeling the rapid rise and fall of my chest. This is pretend. This is... Peyton. I can feel the exact moment my heart shatters. It's when I turn, my eyes crashing into one's well-memorized. When mist meets the deepest sea. When a shadow faces its flame. When inevitability meets its end. When I stare into the face of what it is I love most. Chapter 43. Peyton. The sword trembles in my hand. I'm meant to drive it through his chest. No! The word is a choked whisper, not the scream I intended. It's disbelief, denial in its most docile form. I'm shaking my head at him, feet stumbling back. This is not an opponent. This is the boy who braids back my hair and dances for the both of us. The boy who would chase me to the ends of the earth if it meant he could hold me one more time. This is a man who would bury another for me, would bury himself if only I asked. He is a fool for me. He is my fool. This can't be happening. Why would Kit allow this? Kai raises a calming hand. Peyton! No! The scream rips from my throat, springing tears to my eyes. I turn then, lifting my rage to the railing above. And when my gaze crashes into that cool green one, I suddenly cannot remember which king I am looking at. No! I won't do it! The arena roars right alongside me, only they look forward to watching their mighty enforcer cut me down. I stumble in the sand, seemingly unable to suck air into my lungs. Tears burn my eyes. Anger clogs my throat. This is a nightmare. This is pretend. We were never supposed to fight each other again. A rough hand tugs at my shoulder, whipping me around to face the stern expression Kai wears. I need you to focus, okay? I nod furiously at his quick words. We have to make this fight look good if they're going to believe it. So that means you're on your own to stay alive against whatever power I throw at you. He nods to the arena surrounding us. The mute is gone. They want to see you fight elites. I swallow a shuddering breath. They want to see me die. His eyes flick over my face, as though seeing it for the first time. Or perhaps the last. So don't. I watch his skin turn to stone, then watch his fist fly towards my face. I've barely ducked in time, the gust of air above my head making me gasp. I leap away from a hard hook to the stomach, dropping my sword and narrowly avoiding several cracked ribs. Borrowing a shell's power, he cycles through a combination of punches, pushing me on defense. I can do nothing but dodge, his rock-like skin making it impossible to land a hit of my own. And the enforcer is relentless. He throws countless stony fists at me until one clips my shoulder. I cry out in pain as bone crunches beneath his knuckles. The crowd roars in my ears as I clutch my arm, forced to duck beneath another flying fist. I stagger away from each of his attacks, conscious only of the throbbing shoulder beneath my fingers. When my back hits the towering wall of the pit, panic swells inside me. I'm trapped. Kai! I choke on my shout, forced to duck beneath another blow with words hanging from the tip of my tongue. His fist sinks into the stone behind, crumbling the rock there. Panting, I watch him struggle to rip free from the wall, sending chunks of stone flying. Kai turns to me then, gray eyes flicking to my injured arm. His words are nearly devoured by the ravenous crowd. Come on, Peyton. We have to make this a good fight. I let my hand slowly slide from my aching shoulder and nod ever so slightly. We are enemies here. We are pretend. And if I'm going to die, it will be one hell of a show. Kai nods back. Then his hands ignite with fire. I let myself sink into a familiar fighting stance, fingers wiggling at my side. When he launches that first ball of fire, I duck and roll behind him. Sand clings to every inch of me, but I don't bother standing to my feet quite yet. I sweep a leg out, catching Kai's ankles with enough force to send him toppling down beside me. The packed sand he slams into has the air rushing from his lungs and a collective groan echoing from the crowd. I throw myself over him, pulling back my uninjured arm to let a fist fly towards his face. Knuckles connect with his jaw, followed by a stinging pain that shoots down my hand. It's odd to hit him like this, hard and intentional. Even as enemies, a piece of me always held back, because that piece always belonged to the enforcer, and perhaps I did not want to break it. But now, in this arena, I've never been more aware of the death that lurks within his veins. Power bends to his will, aches to obey. I have never seen him without a soft spot for me. It seems today is that day. His desire for me to survive him seems to have erased all other sentiment he has for me. He is lost to this game, this power he has continually stopped himself from using against me. But the enforcer knows he can't throw the fight, otherwise I'll likely be killed anyway, leaving us both dead for nothing. I cock my arm again, ready to strike when his fingers wrap around my wrist. Searing hot pain ignites beneath his palm as the blazer ability scorches my skin. I barely bite back my scream, barely think through the dizzying pain. The smell of burning flesh floods my senses before a wave of nausea crashes into me. Only yesterday, this stench followed my fury as I held Blair's face into an open flame. Now it is I who's burning. I gasp before driving my knee into the elbow of his raised arm. His scalding hold on me breaks at the same moment I hear his bone do the same. The sickening snapping sound is accompanied by a hissing grunt of pain through Kai's clenched teeth. I wince, hating that I hurt him. Hating that we are in this position in the first place. But I force my stinging arm back, readying to... His uninjured arm flies into my stomach, lifting my knees from the ground. The hit has me panting for air as I dangle off the ground. Only the strength of a brawny could allow him to throw my body off his with such ease. I'm flipping over his head, the sand flying towards my face. Kai's hand is still pressed to my stomach, guiding my body over his when I grab hold of his wrist. Tucking my chin, I collide with the ground, rolling onto my back at the same moment I tug his broken arm flat against my shoulder. He cries out in pain as the snapped bone pokes through bloody skin. I hold his arm at that awkward angle, shutting my eyes against the damage I've done. Our heads are nearly touching, bodies sprawled in opposite directions, both of us panting atop the sand. Until I no longer can. Thorny vines spring from the earth to clamp around my throat. A choked scream escapes my gaping mouth before the air is squeezed from it. The barbed branches tear at my neck as Kai breaks from my hold. He staggers to his feet, commanding the bloom's ability with a weak flick of his hand. My fingers fumble for the dagger at my side when the vines tighten around my throat. Blood seeps between the leaves, thorns tearing at my flesh hungrily. A heavy blackness creeps into the corners of my vision as I lift the blade towards my own throat. With one shaky slice, I cleave through the choking vines. The dagger's tip sloppily grazes the side of my neck, likely leaving the beginnings of another scar there. The ravenous plants fall limply from my bloody skin to sink back beneath the sandy earth they sprung from. I lie there, panting in pain as blood drips from my shredded throat. My blurry gaze is on the cloudless sky above until the ringing in my ears ceases and the crowd's dull roar reminds me where I am. With a grunt, I lift myself up onto my palms, eyes falling to Kai's looming figure. He runs a hand over the severed bone beneath his elbow, wincing slightly. My eyes widen when that dangling arm snaps back into place with a satisfying click. Kai sighs in relief before abandoning the healer's power for... The enforcer multiplies, creating a wall of muscle and a dozen stormy gazes staring back at me. Cloner. I scramble back, palms digging into the hot sand. My frantic gaze runs over the arena, searching for a plan before landing instead on the glinting something a few feet away. I'm suddenly on unsteady feet, blood dripping from the tears at my throat to trail a scarlet path between my breasts. I swipe a hand over it, accomplishing little more than adding sand to my sticky skin. The Kais begin closing in on me, their powerful strides spurring me into a sprint. I lunge for the sword, my fingers curling around the hilt, and... a worn boot slams atop the blade. A frustrated cry tears from my throat as I drive my foot into the clone's knee. Bone crunches with the impact, but before he can tumble into the sand, another Kai is yanking me back. A calloused hand is on my shoulder, but when I throw an elbow at the jaw behind, his grip loosens. Taking advantage of his shock, I grab that arm, step into his chest, and muster enough momentum to throw him over my uninjured shoulder. I barely hear the crowd's responding hollers with the blood pounding in my ears. Turning, I snatch up the sword and raise it between my bloody form and the several other surrounding Kais. Stay calm. Find the real enforcer. My eyes skim over them, studying every familiar figure. The psychic ability I've so narrowly survived by has been rather buried these past few weeks, but I let it rush to the surface now, a flood of observations and comparisons. So when my gaze locks with a particular gray one, I know I've found him. His hand lingers just above the arm I'd broken, as though the bone hasn't quite healed correctly, and that hurt belongs to him alone. I'm dropping the sword once again and flipping my bloody dagger in an equally stained hand. A clone charges at me the same moment I let that blade fly. Time slows. Kai reaches for me, fingers grazing my throat. The cool steel of my dagger sinks into its target. The clones vanish when Kai staggers back, a blade embedded in his shoulder. I loose a shuddering breath before reaching up to graze shaking fingers over my throbbing neck, as if to ensure my head is still attached. Swallowing, I watch Kai pull the blade from his flesh with a pained grunt. He tosses it aside, blood gushing from the open wound. Even knowing a healer's ability rests beneath his fingertips, I couldn't bring myself to aim for the heart. Everything about this fight already feels too real, and if I were to bury my blade in his chest, I fear a piece of me would die instead. Our eyes lock across the stretch of sand, blood dripping from the damage we've caused each other. The angry cut through Kai's lip is evident even at this distance, as is the deep dagger wound above his collarbone. I sway on my feet beneath the beating sun, shoulder aching and throat throbbing. Through the pain, I muster a small smile, one that is only for him. One to reassure that our pretending is just that. This audience alone keeps me fighting the enforcer when I wish for nothing more than to collapse against Kai. My soul is hopelessly tethered to his. So when he suddenly blinks into nothingness before my eyes, teleports behind, and drives a knee into my back, I wonder for the first time if perhaps I am the fool. My body slams into the sand, nearly swallowing a mouthful as my face scrapes against the rough grains. A kick to the ribs has me rolling onto my back, coughing blood. Through a blurry haze, I see Kai standing over me, his expression unreadable. He's not himself. It's as though every emotion has been muted, as though something other than pretend is guiding each blow. Maybe he really does want me dead. Another kick to the stomach. Maybe he's hated me this whole time, for what I did to his father. I curl in on myself when the toe of his boot sinks into my stomach again. For what I did to his brother. Something cracks inside me, and I'm not sure if it is my heart or a rib. For what I did to him. A strangled cry claws up my throat, the product of pain and panic. I lash out with the last of my strength, aiming a foot for his knee. My boot collides with the glowing force field of a shield, the purple hue warding off my attack. With wide eyes, I slowly lift my head, scared of what I will see on his face, and yet even more terrified that I will see nothing there when he looks down at me. The sun is blotted out behind his threatening figure, though its rays comb through that wavy hair like a halo, as though I'm staring at the angel of death. Since stealing those silvers from him on loot to fleeing his pursuit across the scorches, I have never feared him more than I do in this moment. It's the enforcer who stares down at me, not the Kai who counts my freckles. It's the deliverer of death in this pit, not the man who would hunt down anyone who dared hurt me. Is this an order? Did Kit command him to kill me? Terror courses through me, an emotion I'm unaccustomed to when in Kai's presence. Rolling onto my stomach, I dig my fingers into the hot sand and abandon all dignity. Panting, I crawl away from him, tears stinging my eyes. A sudden sob slips past my lips, jolting my bloody body as I scramble away aimlessly. My shoulder aches as it strains to hold my weight. Blood drips from my neck to speckle the sand beneath. His shadow falls over me, and terror grips the heart that once felt nothing but love for him. He is devastation dressed with the shell of devotion. So this is it. In the end, an Azur will always choose duty, and my death has just become that. Laughter echoes all around, drowned out only by my racing thoughts. The elites holler at my cowering form. They chant for their enforcer to finish me. And for the first time in my life, I don't fear death. I fear him. Dragging my fingers through the sand, I grasp enough to throw into the stoic face looming above. His shadow staggers back before my feet are suddenly under me, sand flying from my heels as I stumble away. Pain pounds through my body, nearly pulling me back to the ground. But I run, tears doing the same down my bloody cheeks. My lungs burn as I try to gulp down the thick air. The sand erupts beside me. I'm thrown backward with the impact, part of the pit flying up with me. I feel myself scream but can hear nothing through the ringing in my ears. Colliding with the ground, my body rolls, only to nearly be hit by another explosion. Kai has taken the form of an ignite, and he's going to blow me to pieces. Everything is hazy. I try to stand, but my balance is fleeting, like trying to grasp wind between my fumbling fingers. The world is muffled. Blood trickles from my ringing ears as I stagger into a run. The ground tilts beneath me with every step, but I force my feet forward as I try to outrun the inevitable. Another blast has the sand beneath my feet caving in. I scream, ankle twisting before I'm suddenly falling into the sinking chasm. Hot sand envelops me, rapidly climbing up my body as I slip farther into the pit. I'm gasping for air, flailing for the surface. This only pulls me down faster. Sand rises to sting my raw neck and trap me beneath. Another scream pours out of me, this time a desperate plea for him, for the boy I love, not the man ordered to make me his next mission to complete. Kai! My voice cracks as sand slips over my chin. I'm going to be buried alive.